Travis Wayne Goodsall. Comment, reply, video time. As there have been some breakout videos, I'm getting a lot more new people and they're commenting, so we get to comment. So, you probably heard in the news this morning about the Rainbow Bridge bombing. And you're all asking me, right? Because you've been following me and you know. You're wondering, was it the same location where William Morgan, back on 9/11/1826, disappeared? Right? Because you're all following. Nope. No, wrong place. You're going, William Morgan, what? 9/11/1826, Canandaigua, New York. Joseph Smith Sr. takes on the responsibility to finish the publication of the Book of Mormon. And helps rescue William Morgan. It was Fort Niagara, which is at the northern end, where Rainbow Bridge is there in the middle. And so the body of Thomas Monroe was found up at Fort Niagara. And so, yeah, his wife was the one to identify his body and saying, what's he doing in somebody else's clothes? So we're not sure what happened, but Smith Sr. was not a part of that. Whatever happened at Fort Niagara, we may never know, other than William Morgan did make it into Canada and was asked if he wanted to stay there and live the rest of his life, or if he wanted to take a horse and go to the East Coast and catch a ship, which he chose that, and then the ship sank, and he eventually would end up in Honduras running a banana plantation, which sold bananas at one of the southern ports in the United States, run by York Wright Masons. However, since the majority of Mormons can't accept that as truth, because Jesus has to be real and the Book of Mormon therefore is literal history, let's proceed with the comments that Mormons are in denial of. YouTube? Come on! Dear God. And so, YouTube flagged Mark Crispin's comment to Travis Wayne Goodsell's Black Friday warning to Mormons is true. And yeah, Brad Wilcox is at it again. And the news missed it. Local news always covers church news stuff, but they missed this one. They're trying to let Brad Wilcox sneak through and become the new normal again. As if you don't remember the scandal, he was exposed of talking to children in the church about sex. He's not an authority to talk to children about sex. The church doesn't give a damn about any of that. We're going to talk to you about sex and we're going to tell you to abstinence only. And that's what the schools do, abstinence only. But the church has their way of doing things, and they don't like the federal government or any other government telling them how to run their kingdom. And so, yeah, Brad Wilcox was exposed in the local news for this, and then all of a sudden everybody starts doing TikTok videos about Brad Wilcox being a racist, too, and a sexist, too. And so the church hid him from the public view, sent him on a super sacred secret mission to Africa, prove he's not a racist, as he bailed on the BYU Student Black Coalition. And so time goes by, and I mean, where's Brad Wilcox? What happened to him? What's going on? And then all of a sudden, at one of the conferences, there he is. He's giving the prayer. And sure enough, in the next conference, because everybody missed it but me, he then is announced as the first counselor in the young men's presidency, not the second counselor. He got a promotion from the church, because that's what you do to perverts and deviants and racists and sexists in the church. You promote them. And so then he's back to doing little speaking tours to children again. And of course, it's on the topic of sex. So here he is yet again, talking about pornography in the church news the other day that I covered, which was mentioned in here. And so, yeah, moron is a correct word, and it should be added to my list. Oh no, the one side is all filled up. We got to put it on the back side. Psychologists have been name-calling their patients for decades after we gave asylum to them from Nazi Germany. And so all these words of name-calling mean all the same thing. You're retarded. You're a moron. You're psycho. You're mental health challenged. That's the current wording that's trying to catch fire these days. But it's like political correctness. It's the cancel culture people behind all of this crap. They demand that you use the wording they demand you use and the definitions for the words they use, or you're the evil one. You're the enemy. You need to be canceled. And so no, mental health is the same as retarded. And so all he did, Mark, was comment Brad Wilcox is a moron. Yeah, he is. He's just, dear God, he just doesn't get a clue. He's like the prophets of the church. He's emulating them. Who cares what you think? I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Nobody's going to tell me to stop. We used to have bigot butters in our legislature here in Utah. This baby is black. It is a dark and loathsome thing. It's a bill, you dumbass. And I had a one-on-one with him. I used to do genealogy for my family, and I would go to the genealogy center out in West Jordan, I think it was. And he showed up in there one day, and he's asking the people if they could do a screenshot of the genealogy program, and that was before the days that we could do screenshots, and I didn't know what that was anyway, and so I had to tell him, because everybody referred everybody to me even. I was like the unofficial genealogy specialist because of all the time that I spent and all the work I was doing, and everything I touched turns into perfection. But yeah, that was my one-on-one with Bigot Butters. Dear God, what a... Not gonna use that for him. What were we looking up? Moron. We'll get the actual definition for you. A stupid person. Yeah. Why did you flag this, YouTube? Because He is. He literally is stupid. A person of low intelligence. Yes, he's a person of low intelligence. This was an appropriate comment, appropriate word, appropriate context. YouTube's in the wrong. I'm approving this. And even though YouTube may override me and hide it, it's been approved. All right. So, on my pinned comment about checking for We Are All Enlisted, you had to keep watching the video to where I go over that. What you did not see is that Wikipedia had a listing of the official church's publications of hymnals. And it was identified that there were a number of unofficial hymn books and even songs throughout the decades in the church. There were songs that people wanted to be in the hymnal, but the church just wasn't getting around to doing a new official reboot. And so I'm even well aware of many wards throughout the United States and in Canada who purposely would put in to their wards hymns that they wanted in there. And so I think it was the 1985 hymnal that took out the Canadian national anthem. And Canada was upset. And so, yes, in my ward in Canada, in McGrath, Alberta, when you use the hymn book to sing during sacrament meetings, sure enough, there was at the back or the front, mostly in the back, I think, was the Canadian national anthem. And so, yeah, there was a lot of upset people with the 1985 version, but that was the official one. And I checked all the previous official versions, as We Are All Enlisted was like back in the 1850s when he wrote it, somewhere around then. Because he died in 68, I think, if I remember correctly. But he was Christian. And so, yes, I can easily see why I can't find it officially until the 1985 edition. But as Gnostic Guru is telling me, as a 65-year-old man, that he remembers singing We Are All Enlisted, because back in his days, and in the early days of my life too, before 1985, the church was not coordinated. They were not correlation. They didn't have the correlation committee yet to correlate everything to be the same worldwide. And so back in those early 70s, Hugh Nibley was the author of the manuals for the priesthood. And he's not an authority of the church, but there he was being used for Melchizedek priesthood meeting. And so, yeah, there was very much a go by the Spirit vibe prior to the correlation committee creation. Whereas now, your spiritual witness must conform and comply to the church's correlation. It's not about feelings. It's about having the right feelings. And in case I don't get to this video, if the 24th is more chaotic than just the one bombing we had this morning, or many multiple bombings but still no civil war or whatever, and so I'm not able to do more videos. I at least want to get this one out. Right now, the church is all about feelings, nothing more than feelings. Trying to forget that it used to be about intelligence, gaining intelligence. This change was because of the September 6th. They were supposedly intellectuals. They weren't. But they were doing research on church history and found stuff out that the church didn't want found out. And so the church excommunicated and fired them. And so the church then went on a spree after that, in which I still remember Packer and Ballard and others talking about intellectualism. And sure enough, I'm hearing those same quotes in comments to me, as I'm pretty sure Mormons don't even know where they got it from. It's just spread around in the church over and over again as an excuse not to study your scriptures. And so yes, studying scriptures is read, ponder, pray, get a feeling you now got the answer, rather than actually studying your scriptures, using the footnotes to tie the scriptures together. And despite the footnotes having many errors in them, the church refuses to make the changes that we did for the Spanish edition and other foreign languages now as a result. And so that's most likely what happened, because I checked, they had a listing of the other official hymns in the hymnals, and it wasn't until 1985. I spent an hour trying to find the site, and then found it on Wikipedia, and then went to each and every single hymnal in Wikipedia to check each of the lists. And it was a long one, but I did not see it officially until 1985. And so yeah, he's a pianist. Saw on the news about another blind piano player. He's a young'un. So trying to be like Ray Charles, I guess. To be another great piano player who's blind. I remember when some hymns were changed because it was getting harder to find old school pianist organists who could play the more. He's talking about when they simplified it. Yeah. That was just a cover-up. They weren't really simplifying it. There were still some hymns that were too exciting. And for the church, that takes away from the spirit. See, in Christian religions, you want to have your audience excited. And so the hymns were exciting and spirited. And they claimed that's the spirit. But no, not in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Reverence, quiet, folding your arms, bowing your head, closing your eyes, shutting up. That's the spirit. Not just for kids. Because it's all about feelings now. It's not about intelligence. Hearing the voice and reproducing it into reality. Like a seed into fruit. The word into into the resulting consequences. So, all right. I also had a plus. Amazing Grace. Yeah. There were many Mormons over the years who were upset that the church did not have Amazing Grace in their hymnals. And to find out that Emma Smith put it in, wow. Yep. But the church is no longer racist. '85 is after '78. All right, so my Black Friday warning, Mark Crispin again. The United States shouldn't support that war. Yeah, we should. We need to focus on improving our country. Yeah, but no. Mark, this is a topic for which you're trying to simplify what has been made complicated, which should be easily answered with something else. Follow the Constitution. The United States of America, officers, government leaders, citizens, therefore, are not following the Constitution. See, the Roe v. Wade thing, it was between pro-lifers and pro-choicers. They're both wrong in their argument. 14th Amendment, Section 1. Boom, it's already there. Problem solved. Next. Oh, crisis at the border. Oh, I don't know, those illegal aliens. Versus, we need to process them. And yeah, is it Biden's fault? No! Did you not read your Constitution? Congress. And so the problem isn't Biden or any other previous president. It's not that Congress can't do their job, which they can't, and that's a big problem, but they're not processing them fast enough. When people come across the border, they're put into the system and they have to wait for their court date. And that's where the problem is that we've got too much of a backlog. And so with the backlog mixed with a whole bunch of people trying to get in to get processed, it created the problem. And it's easily solved. You get the judges to get going on doing their job. Quit fooling around. Quit having little tiny kids without representation and having a whole court proceeding as to whether or not that little child who can't even speak right, they're a toddler, dear God, you give them instant asylum if they're under 18. You give them naturalization. And you get them into a care facility. And it would be nice if charities weren't greedy and kept the donation money to themselves. And then complain that they need more donation money because they're just overwhelmed. IRS needs to start cracking down on all these charities, like the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who are supposed to be the ones to do the charity and are not doing the charity as they suppose. Like the government not doing their job, like the judges at the border not doing their job fast enough. It's obvious that little children are not jihadist murderers, assassins. They're all by themselves. They were purposely sent by their mothers all by themselves to try to get them in because of the harsh conditions that people are suffering under. But, it should be an automated computerized system so that you come in, you're checked on the database, you're not an international terrorist, okay, we'll give you an opportunity. You're in. You're naturalized. But yeah, I can understand a probation period. That if you go and commit a crime, within the first year or so, then yeah, you got to be sent back, and it goes on your record so that when you cross the border again, you're flagged. Real simple thing to do, but they're not using the technologies available to do the job quicker and efficiently and effectively. And I've understood that all of the different agencies, all of the different police departments in the nation, in the various states, they're not coordinated. They're not correlated. They're all a separate database. And so then you hear about the NSA spying on the others and the FBI stealing driver's licenses so that they can do facial recognition searches. It's just stupid. And so, yeah, it's not supposed to be an issue. And with religious freedom, you don't have the right to overthrow the government. You've got the First Amendment. And so that's it, religion. Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Any attempt to try to violate the First Amendment is an act of sedition. You become a traitor to this country, and you need to lose your IRS 1005, 1050C or whatever it is, tax exempt status. You need to lose your license to be a religion, and you all need to be locked up. If you're going to overthrow this government because you don't like it, fine. Go to prison and sit with Warren Jeffs. Not complicated. And so, yes, all of these congressmen of MAGA who were involved with January 6th, they all needed to be removed from office. And then we wouldn't have had this problem. We wouldn't have had Roe v. Wade overturned. We wouldn't have had the extortion threats of the debt crisis and the spending bills for the next year. None of this would have been happening. Terrorists do not belong in government. And so same with progressives now. All of them need to go. The press, who were pro-MAGA and now are pro-Palestine, which is progressives, yeah, they all need to be locked up. No longer getting a license to be a press agent because you can't adhere to the First Amendment. You're lying to the public. You're inciting the public to insurrection against the United States of America. You gotta go. Not complicated. But the DOJ, the FBI, and others are not doing their jobs, and so they gotta go. Yes, America is in jeopardy. It is collapsing because nobody is adhering to the Constitution of the United States of America. And so, no, this is a moron, Mark. This is moronic. I'm sorry. You do not know the bigger issues that are involved because you are not using the United States Constitution as the standard. Just like for Mormonism, I don't just spout off my hate against the Mormon church. No, I use the Book of Mormon as the standard to criticize the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They don't follow it. And Mormons get upset with me. So, Mormon hate comments and exclusive President Biden declares war on Israel. So we have Gnostic Guru, the 65-year-old. Israel, the geopolitical nation state, is not the same as Israel. Oh, dear God, are you Israel-splaining to me? Seriously? To me. You're Israel-splaining to me. You have the little thing there that says you're subscribed to me, and you're Israel-splaining to me. How many videos of mine have you watched? Oh, dear God. Spoken in the Bible. No, they technically are. But I explained this in the video I just did, the 2-hour video, the 2-hour tour. And so let me re-explain to you as one who has authority to be the one to explain and educate you on this. Edumacate. In the beginning was Egypt, and Egypt controlled the land of Egypt and would go down into Ethiopia at certain points in time and all the way up to the Euphrates River under King David Moses IV, same one that had Armageddon 1, and then went to on vacation to the little hamlet of Salem. There was another country named Assyria. They came into northern Israel, as the land was called, even though it's all Egypt. And they took the people out. It was a relocation, a deportation, which is different than what Babylon is about to do. And then deported Assyrians into the land of northern Israel to breed with the poor Assyrians who didn't get deported. Or, yeah, the poor Israelites who didn't get deported. And they became the Samaritans. Then 600, which was not exactly 600, it was 597 BCE, Babylon had conquered Assyria and finally got into Judah, which was still part of Egypt. They still were supposed to give tribute to Egypt, and so there were battles there at the Judah border of Israel between Egypt and Pharaoh and the Babylonian army. But 597, they prevailed. Their God prevailed, not Israel. And they replaced the king of Judah, who was a tributary king to Egypt. And they were supposed to give yearly tribute to Babylon. But oops, so 11 years later, Babylonian army comes in and conquers and takes captives out of Judah. There was no deportation and a replacement. It was just taking the wealthy and the government leaders captive and taken to Ur of Babylon. The archaeological record shows that the Jews who were of Judah were indeed taken captive and were held hostage there. And so no, Daniel was not one of them. Daniel is a book written by a Jewish author during the Roman period time. Because otherwise, oopsie, the Jews made a big boo-boo by being Semitic now, rather than Hamido, Egyptian. They assimilated into Babylon. The whole culture, involving government, religion, calendar, language, holy days, everything was changed to Babylonian by the Jews. And so it's not because of the book of Genesis, it didn't exist yet. Again, Roman period. A Jewish author wrote it during the Roman period. And this is why he ties Abraham And there's weirdness going on because he apparently is conflicted and there's problems, but he's writing prophecy. It's not supposed to make sense literal historically, because Joseph Smith makes it very clear Abraham was in Egypt. And so after Cyrus, king of Persia, announced that the Jews are free and they can go back to their land and rebuild their temple, they then went, rebuilt their temple, and the Samaritans wanted to be a part of it, and there were controversies and conflicts and wars and fighting. But the temple eventually got built. And then the Greeks took over, and they confiscated the temple and were performing pig sacrifices. You can be a big pig too. And so the book of Maccabees tells the story of the war with the Maccabean revolt, in which they took back their temple, and that's where Hanukkah originates from. Is the 8 days of that first obtaining of the temple and lighting the menorah in the temple, and they didn't have enough oil, and it was miraculously lit for 8 days. Regardless, that's Hanukkah. But the Jews don't accept that book because of Christians, and we're coming to them. And so then you have the Romans. The Romans allow the Jews to maintain their temple, but there are Roman guards walking the walls of the temple. Peacekeepers. And so many Jews are still believing they're in bondage, and there are many skirmishes that break out, and the Romans crush them, as many of the Jews are now wanting the fulfillment of their prophecy of a Christ who will save them. And thus the scriptures being written about a future Christ who would save the Jews. And so thus their Christ never came. They were never saved during the Roman period time. But those scriptures gave them hope in their captivity. As the Exodus story and other stories of similar prophecies of the latter days were supposed to be comforting, giving them hope. But yeah, the temple was destroyed in 72 AD CE, as the Romans just slaughtered them. And so, yeah, it's unfortunate that Christianized bias refers to all of these military leaders as false Christs merely because they failed. That's a little bit harsh. It's like saying Joseph Smith is not the founder of Mormonism because he was murdered. Or he's not the Christ of Mormons because he was murdered. He did not build Zion. He failed. You're missing the point of the Jewish prophecies. You're being a bigot. And so, yeah, then in the 200 CE, after the slaughter of the Romans, and a shifting of belief systems because of the loss of the temple, and the fighting with the Romans, there were people who were wanting to be martyrs now. and so would purposely go into war to be a martyr, to be immortalized in story form. And so this interpretation was starting to form for literal history Jesus, but not yet. And so each of the congregations were led by a bishop, at least as Eusebius calls them. It used to be a therapeutic group led by a teacher, and he had 12 disciples, and they would go around to the other therapeutic groups in the Middle East there and preach. And that's where the Roman period authors are talking about with Jesus and his 12 apostles, disciples. That's where they come from. And it's not a literal history. None of them were Jesus. Because again, they did not save the Jews. And so each of these different congregations had now adopted only one scripture of a Jewish author previously written during the Roman period time. And it was the one that they connected with. And so yes, a number of them had different gospels, God tales, and only the 4 were chosen for the Christian collection of the New Testament, as they called it. And there were others. The Gnostic Gospels, as Gnostic Guru, I'm pretty sure, would know about this. Were not included for the most part. Luke is the borderline one. And so all of those need to be included if you're going to do a serious study of scriptures, if you're going to try to reconstruct the religion. But again, go back to the Egyptians. That's the origin. And but people do what they do, and as long as they don't try to overthrow the government and force other people to obey their belief system, just want to be a person who is an appreciator of the Roman period Jews, fine. But don't try forcing the Roman period Jews as the one true church. You need to understand the only one true church on the face of the earth is extinct. It was the Egyptians. And so all of this Zionism, I see Zionism in there. Dear God, you have no clue what you're talking about. And so, Constantine then comes along, and he's the emperor. They don't get funding unless he approves it. And so he extorts them. You want funding? You come to this Council of Nicaea, and you have to give up your religious beliefs. You have to give up your Christ. You have to give up your interpretation of Scripture, because we are creating Christianity. We are creating a Christ. Brand spanking new, creatio ex nihilo. And that is his definition. Nihilo, nothing. He's not real. That is the meaning of homuzion, that Constantine had to make up the word, because none of the bishops would agree to give up their Christ. And they had different natures and characters for their Christ. Some were the Word. that he wasn't actually real, he was the Word. And some of them were Hercules and Perseus and Horus, and their natures and characters were imposed on Jesus. And yeah, in the end, homuzion. Everybody was wrong. Everybody had to give up their nature and character of their Christ, because only Constantine's won out, because he was in charge of the bank. And what he said goes. And so, likewise, all of their scriptures were no longer prophecies of a future Christ that was given the date in the stories. Not just the date given by dates by John the Revelator in his book. Not a real person, it was the author who called himself John. And thus Christianity was formed. And now that the scriptures were literal history, now that they are now Christian, no longer Jewish. And so anybody who's Jewish, who were Orthodox, because that's what it had to be. Because with all these different nations, they were getting assimilated into the nations. And so there was a strict Orthodox group to try to maintain their Babylonian identity of assimilation. And so the Christians, by turning the Jewish authors into literal history, now saw that these Jews who are Orthodox were the ones who murdered their Jesus, a Muzion, who's not real. And thus the Jews were chased all over Europe for 1700 years, and then Nazi Germany with the Holocaust. They were chased out of their land of Judah. And so then you have the Christians going on a purge spree, burning books in Alexandria, Egypt, at the library, because it's not their Bible anymore. It's not about their Christ. It's about heathen gods. So say we all. They now are Cylons of one true God. And we're militant. We are all enlisted. Onward, Christian soldiers. And so, yeah, then Islam comes along and does their militant thing with Muhammad. And so after World War II, yes, the United States helped the Jews get back into Israel. Don't listen to Heber C. Kimball. Was it Heber C. Kimball or Orson Hyde? I think it was Orson Hyde. With his little mission to Israel. No, Joseph Smith didn't order that. No. After the coup, Orson Hyde was allowed back into the 12 because Joseph Smith put him back in, but Brigham Young was now the president. Orson Hyde needed to kiss the ring and bow the knee to Brigham Young. And so, yeah, you got to be very careful when you're going over documents. Mormons love to embellish and blame Joseph for things. Oh yeah, Joseph Smith gave Brigham Young authority to do the endowment ceremony. He's the mission president. He has no authority to touch the temple. That should have been very clear and very obvious. Because you get upset with others who claim to have authority to touch the temple. But it's not a big deal for Brigham to do it. God, you just don't think. You have to prove your beliefs true, whatever the cost. Even to turn the inverted pentagram into Jesus. God. Oh, here he's saying Brigham Young corresponded with Albert Pike and was visited by Pike's emissary. Wink, wink. Interesting. Do you have those documents? Can you find those? Are they legitimate? Because that would be a good tie-in connection. Because I've identified both as coming from the same origin. But if you've got a link between Brigham Young and Albert Pike, send it to me. Email it. Put the link in. Don't just tell me this. Because now I have to go look it up myself, and I don't know how I'm going to find it if it's not going to be easy. Because let's try it. Albert Pike's correspondence with Brigham Young. Brigham Young University has Albert Pike letter. So maybe this was easier than I thought. Oh, look, there's a Gnostic archive. I don't see Albert Pike there, but Google search, you suck. It's in special collections, which means I cannot obtain a PDF copy of it. Pike was serving as captain of volunteers to fight in the war with Mexico. He writes to David Phoenix, telling him of the death of John D. Phoenix. Not seeing the connection to Brigham Young. L. Tom Perry, Special Collections, Board of Curators. No, that is not it. Again, BYU Special Collections. David Phoenix. John D. Phoenix to New York. Is John D. Phoenix a Mormon? Because otherwise... See all this stuff now I have to do now? Because you didn't link me. No, there's nothing on him in the records. So, yeah. I have no idea what you're talking about, man. You can't just throw that out there and assume that... The 33 degree did not become formalized in the United States until early 1850s with the work of... Oh, you dumbasses. Fair Latter-day Saints. The inverted pentagram is Jesus. There's even a Wikipedia page all about the differences in the different areas. Dear God. But apparently that's all they're going to talk about. Was Brigham Young a 33-degree Mason? That's a stupid question to ask, because it means you have no clue about Freemasonry and are unaware of the policies and procedures of how to become a 33 degree. That it's an honorary degree and not the highest rank. And these guys obviously don't understand that prior to 9/11/1826, it was different. Because after 9/11/1826, they were a little more lenient, not as strict and rigid. So yeah, whoever's writing this is claiming to be an authority on the matter. So no, that's stupid. Alright. So no, you gotta send me links. You can't just drop a bomb like that and expect me to just believe it. Because like I said, I have scientifically connected and confirmed both Albert Pike and Brigham Young to the Illuminati. But if you're claiming that they have a connection, then you have the burden to give it to me. Because I have not found it. The Gathering of Lost Tribes of Israel. Now you're mixing up Joseph Smith's version versus the Israel in Israel, who are Jews of Judah. You got to think in terms of Freemasonry again, but the York Rites with the Knights Templar, the Holy Grail, bloodline. As a Jewish Kabbalist in the New Israelites, he wasn't a member, but he learned exceedingly well, if you saw the end of my video here, the previous one. Seriously, it's the end of the day and I didn't get to... The things I do for you. I am taking tomorrow off. I am not doing videos tomorrow. Don't force me. I've given up my week for you guys. And I've already proven that I'm right with the attack that's planned for Friday, as we've already got bombings for the pre-show. Even God is getting involved, apparently, with the storm that's coming in. And so, the concept of the tribes of Israel, or even the lost tribes, is a completely different subject matter. Because Joseph Smith Sr. is prophesying, saying that we are the bloodline for the Holy Grails of Joseph Smith Jr. and the Latter-day Christ as the House of Israel, which were Egyptian. This is not to be taken literally as the Jews who were of Judah but are calling the land Israel and still digging up the land trying to find David, because that'll prove that it is Israel. That's what they're doing all this for. And I've told you, they've already got confirmation of the whole land of Israel, of David, with the 18th dynasty of Egypt, the David-Moses dynasty. And David Moses IV came to Salem on vacation during the middle of Armageddon 1. And yeah, does seem to indicate that the story about David and Bathsheba ties into that somehow. Except Bathsheba is the Queen of Sheba. And so it doesn't. And so no, the Jews are not the lost tribes of Israel when the Jews returned from Babylon. No, Israel was considered northern Israel, not the Jews. Jews were part of Israel because of the land, but they were Jews because they were in Judah. I can't believe you are thinking you're going to Israel-splain to me. Dear God, I just mopped the floor with you. Unbelievable. There was no further covenant made with the Jews? Oh my hell. Why are you watching my channel if you're going to try to tell me that I'm wrong and that you're right? Get the hell off my channel. I'm giving you an opportunity only because I want that link. But apparently you don't even know things and you're just making things up. And so I don't believe you have a link between Brigham Young and Albert Pike. Dear God, you're banned. Not banned, but it's deleted. You've got your one opportunity to prove you can have the link, but otherwise, dear God, get your lies out of here. Faith-promoting Kool-Aid. Oh yeah, drink me. Richard Holmes. What is your response to the reality of Paul Gregerson? I don't give a bleep about Paul Gregerson. I don't care if he's real or not. Who the hell is he? See, now I gotta go look him up. I already know the answer about Joseph Smith being an Egyptologist translator. It's correct. I've been putting the picture for you of the facsimiles. He knows Egyptian. Facsimile number 1 is 1st August 2017. Facsimile number 2 was 14 October 2023. We just had it. And facsimile number 3, 8 April 2024. Joseph knew. So get the hell out of here with this Paul Gregerson crap. I don't give a bleep about him. He's obviously wrong. Thanks, David. I needed that after those two morons. So my Black Friday warning, David, you got a lot of likes on this one. Did I? Eight? Yeah, that's more than normal. But no, I've got 17 likes on the historic LDS Church breaking news. 1.7K, and then YouTube shut it down. And it equally has 18 thumbs down. You're blaming the wrong person, Rick. Many LDS Melchizedek priesthood holders are called, but few rise in rank. Travis Wayne Goodsell, another sick apostate. Sick. One of the list. That moron was added. Apostate setting himself up as a prophet. I didn't set myself up. I just naturally am by birth and blood. Dude, this is so bad. Creepy. How did you ever get 1K subscribers? It's actually 1,063. But that could be a lot of ghost subscribers. Creepy. YouTube. Why wasn't this flagged, YouTube? You flagged moron and you don't do this? Bleep you, YouTube. Morons. YouTube, please never recommend this channel again. Well, you don't do it by watching my video, because now you're going to be flooded with my videos. You gotta go to the ... click on it, and then do not recommend this channel. But let me help you out. We'll flag you. Because that was mean. Dear God. It's one thing to not believe me. It's another thing to call me a creepy apostate. Alright, so Book of LDS Moses Latter-day Prophecy and the Learning of the Jews. Just did it this morning. My goodness, Jasmine. You got a lot of time on your hands. Hello, Mr. Goodsell. I am so glad you brought that up about the missionaries. They came last night, and we all had yet another talk. Ooh, story time. As we were passing on our teachings, we were both told some things. Get ready to LOL. Nicene Creed was just a story plot from the Da Vinci Code movie. Mormons just make stuff up. Unbelievable. And I am a witness. They do. I was a missionary. I heard my companions. I heard other missionaries make stuff up. Missionaries are the biggest liars in the universe. Dear God. It's all about trying to be popular and get faith-promoting stuff pushed. But to deny Christianity? Wow. It's like they miss verse 19. It never happened. Joseph Smith never said anything in that verse. Nope, it's not true. This is what he told us. We were also informed that the Book of Mormon has not been changed since its creation. What? Go to the Joseph Smith papers. I told you Mormons wouldn't do it because the church said, we got the Joseph Smith papers. Everything's exactly the same as we have it. Everything's fine. Proves the church is true. And Mormons don't look. And all my videos where I cover a Joseph Smith papers topic, yeah, it's not the same. And if Mormons did, they would leave the church, or they're morons. That's the topic of the day. Dear God. We were okay with their delusions, not illusions, until they tried to gently explain that James was born black. Uh-oh. It's still there. Oh, yep. I warned you. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, still racist after all these years. Oops. Yep. Because of his bad dealings in the pre-existence. Yep. Ooh. I'm surprised they didn't know to quote Bruce R. McConkie from his Mormon doctrine that he was a fence sitter. With which, after 1978, he came out with a new edition and erased it. But it's still in the minds of Mormons. Mormons are still racist. I'm sorry, Jasmine and James. Yeah, you're not going to convert to the Mormon church now, are you? And so, as I've been going over with you, and even in that video, that the premortal council in heaven is to be understood in the terms of latter-day prophecy, not to be taken as literal history. And so it's about the conflict of which Mormons are going to choose between President Lucifer Russell Marion or me. And Mormons are choosing Lucifer's plan of happiness. And as a result, Mormons are falling. And they then are the fence sitters, rather than choosing one or the other by not making the choice and just staying with the church. That's how it's supposed to be properly interpreted by Mormons, by Joseph Smith, because it has to do with the latter days. But Mormons, just, dear God. And so, yes, being held in reserve from the foundation of the earth to be born right now, you are the chosen ones, the elite, the elect. And that misinterpretation has caused Mormons to be racist, sexist, bigoted, hateful, neglectful, etc., etc., etc. And so, yes, Mormons have fallen from their second estate. They are the fence sitters by not making a choice, and thus making the choice to stick with Lucifer. But yep. But yeah, I have made the joke before, at least once, that that all of this is real, and that we were in the premortal council in heaven, and that Mormons who are born and raised in the covenant are those who, for their righteousness, were to be born and raised in the great and abominable church, so that they would have the strength and power to recognize it and leave it. Oops! Nope. They're still in it. Yeah, and so James had to walk out of the room. No, I can't blame him either. I would have kicked them out of the house. Get the hell out of our house, don't you ever come back. Dear God, the little tiny tots. Tiny tot missionaries. They apologized. Oh, well, I guess they're not racist anymore, are they? They apologized. Mormons are taught about the stages of repentance. It's in our manuals, and even though it's only once every 4 years, we are taught. And it's more than just apologizing. And, well, I apologize, so you have to forgive me. And if you don't forgive me, then the greater sin is on you. You've misinterpreted the scripture. You first have to recognize that you're a moron. Keeping with the theme. Second, you have to confess that you're a moron. And it's and then you have to apologize. That's part of confession. But then you have to repair the damage you caused. These missionaries don't want to do that after they apologize. They think that that's good enough. No. You steal something, you don't say, "Oh, I'm sorry I stole your thing. I want it back." "Oh, well, I apologized. You have to forgive me now. I want my thing back." You have to repair the damage it caused. And there are some things you cannot repair the damage of. Because even though you say you're sorry, James and Jasmine and I know very well you are not sorry. You're still a racist. And like I have warned James and Jasmine in the video, Brigham Young ordered interracial couples to die. And he blamed Joseph and blamed the Book of Mormon for it, when it's obvious that he wasn't. And even the church came out with blacks in the priesthood in the Gospel Topics essays, where they confess, yeah, Brigham Young's a racist, but everybody was back then. He's just human. No, it means he's a false prophet. And therefore you guys are false and have no authority. Amen. Toodaloo. Dear God. James was trying to tell them about the first visions. We do not know much about those. But the missionaries were telling us how Joseph Smith saw God and Jesus in one of them. Now, that's the first one. We quoted Deuteronomy 18:20. Yes! They still are telling us the Book of Mormon is another testament of a real and living Jesus. And even though he was Jewish, it's a Christian teaching, not the learning of the Jews. Yeah, they're morons. Princess Bride, morons. I am so sorry. This is wordy. No, I'm so sorry. Dear God, that I have to apologize for the tiny tot missionaries. And I didn't mean to go on about what happens here. Do you know where they're from? What part of the world they're from? I don't know where you are, but do you know where they are? Did they tell you? I know the Temple Square missionaries will often have or in Salt Lake even. Well, they could be going to the distribution center, that's why. But I see missionaries who are from another country have a flag next to on their temple or name tag. And so I don't know if they've got those, maybe not. That may just be a Salt Lake City thing for Temple Square and any church welfare sites or the distribution center place where they do that. But I'm curious if you know. I'm betting they're not going to come back until transfers, when new missionaries come and tell you the same thing all over again. I'm so sorry. But that's the problem I'm dealing with Mormons. They're so indoctrinated into the Danite white supremacy. Wanted to just let you know that we are trying to let these people know They really should listen to you. You know, missionaries aren't allowed to listen to YouTube videos. They can use YouTube for conference and for church sites to teach you people with. You use it first. But other than that, let's see. By the way, is there really a manual for missionaries that they go by? Yes, Preach My Gospel. I believe there's a PDF available. Oh, is it Preach My Gospel, or is that the Sunday School manual? Missionary LDS Handbook PDF. Missionary Standards. That's interesting. Church releases Missionary Handbook. Instruction for missionaries. No, that's... Let's see if we can find it. Go into libraries, Gospel Library, Come Follow Me. Oh, maybe it is the Preach My Gospel. Because Come Follow Me is the Sunday School curriculum for, yeah. So it is Preach My Gospel. Preach My Gospel LDS PDF. Yep. There we have 36617, which is the distribution center coding for it. Because on the PIC lines, it's for the distribution center. And so the university, BYU's, they'll have the class for Preach My Gospel or the other scriptures with the same coding with the distribution center. And so the class would be Preach My Gospel 36617, for example. Or whatever it is for the New Testament, Old Testament, Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenants, Pearl of Great Price, etc. Yep. Yeah, this is the one. A Guide to Missionary Service. It's the PDF. I will leave it on the site, as it'll be 3 weeks from now when I finish making this video. Dear God, it's already 4 o'clock. I'll save it for my collection just in case I don't have it. It's the 2nd edition, or it should be. Um, 2004, no. It is not the 2nd edition. Interesting. Interesting. Preach My Gospel LDS 2nd edition PDF. They're still putting up 36617 on there. 2nd edition is now available. Okay, so give it to me. That's right. I'd click on it, and I did the video of Church News saying that it wasn't there. And so, yes, this is supposed to be it, because that's the link. So, download PDF 2.0. Yeah, there we go. Different cover. This is the one. It is finally available. Preach My Gospel 2.0. All right, we'll leave this one up for you. This is the one they're using, is this new version. And it's 4 pages shorter. So that you're morons. They're morons, not you. Them. Morons. All right. Sorry, this is manual for missionaries to go by. If any of this is moronic, not stupid, please, no, not at all. I understand you're not Mormon. You're learning about Mormons for the first time. And I'm having to apologize for Mormons on their behalf. Dear God. See, my videos, as I have made aware, that you are aware, are to Mormons specifically. And so as you explained in another comment to me, you're trying to learn the new vocabulary of Mormonism. So I appreciate it. It's a lot of work. And so, yeah, please don't feel stupid or awkward or anything like that. I understand. You are specifically not my target audience. You are the woman at the well with Jesus. And so, you know, I hope you too have a great Thanksgiving. Pray that we'll be able to talk to you again on Friday. Yeah, we'll see. Islam already plans to conquer the world. Everybody wants to rule the world. Alright, by the way, you should sing more often. Like I said in another video, I can't do Muppet impersonations anymore because of my larynx. And so, yeah, the clearing of the throat has to do with the allergies and the phlegm buildup that blocks off my air passages to protect me from the poison air that we're breathing here in Utah. And news reports after the drought from 2020 on has caused the lake bed to get so low that it's now exposing the toxins that are in the Great Salt Lake at the base. And so now there's a big rush to put back water somehow that the church had stolen in the first place to cause the drought. And now the church is trying to claim that they're giving back water, which is now all gone. And now the church came out with the Church News just the other day or last night talking about how they're conserving water at their chapels. It's just so pathetic. They just, oh my God. Conserving water at the chapels is not going to repair the Great Salt Lake. There needs to be a massive influx of water from anywhere to fix the problem now. And nobody is willing to do it. And they've got a czar now over the Great Salt Lake. And he's now telling people, I'm going to punish you people. Oh, dear God. It's just an ugly mess. But no, I will not be singing, but it's for the same reasoning. But yeah, my mom, oh dear God. She is tone deaf. It it is oh my goodness. She goes and she sings because it's the church and that's what you do. But oh my goodness, it is bad, or was bad. She's dead now. But dear God. But yeah, I think I got my musical singing talent from associative memory, which helped me with music. Because if I wasn't watching TV, I was in my room listening to the radio and would switch around to the different stations to songs that I liked. And so not having peer pressure to conform and comply to one genre of music, I would listen to country, soft, rock, heavy. There was an emergence of death metal, but it wasn't that much. Rap, obviously, rap has been given a bad rap, as I'm sure you guys know about, as Ari Melber on MSNBC often would bring on rap celebrities to have discussions about the United States' racism towards rap artists and preventing them from being on the radio and such, and keeping them down. But New Age was there. It wasn't called alternative yet. That was the 90s, I think, when it started to become alternative rather than New Age. Or New Wave, I guess. And then pop, of course. Disco, that died in 82, right after I was told by my peers that fall semester in grade school that disco existed. And that it was dead by the 23rd of October. That comes from Bloom County Comics. They talk about the death of disco. And so, yeah, breakdancing, I'm familiar with the music and familiar with the people who were doing the moonwalk and the breakdancing. But yeah, there's the Valley, Earth Girls Are Easy. But yeah, all of the music that was available on the radio, I had my favorite songs from all of them. And there was a few songs that were my most popular, my most favorite. Metallica with the Master of Puppets. The Eye of the Tiger from Rocky IV. And Foreigner, I've Been Waiting for a Girl Like You. And Mozart, always been a fan of Mozart, even after seeing Amadeus as the Saturday afternoon movie. And Johnny Mathis and Barry Manilow. And Kylie Minogue was just in her infancy, and I would come to bump her up in the rating. But she was just a youngin' back in those days, along with Together Forever guy. So, yep. Memories on the corner of my mind. But yeah, there was the joke when I would go up to, especially for youth at BYU every summer for teenagers. It's a feeling place. You go and you stay in the dorms. It's not co-ed, obviously. And they would have classes throughout the week that you could sign up to attend. and I always chose the Second Coming stuff because those were the exciting ones. And apparently many of the hot chicks were going to the feeling stuff. So yeah, I struck out as I focused on me and not about their needs. And so only occasionally we'd have activities with females other than the classes, because the classes you sit and listen to them. There were some who were singers who also gave talks to the class. It was comedy hour for some of them. And then there was a dance at the end of the week. And so that would be the perfect opportunity if I weren't so shy. And the last night I made a tradition out of staying up all night and writing a poem or a short story. And we would get a little cassette tape of the Mormon musician who did the theme for that year. And what else was it? So yeah, that was a time for my parents to get away from me, dump me off. Worth the money to pay for me to go there, as they would do the genealogy family trip, because that was boring. Sit and listen to old people talk about their lives. Hilarious. And so yeah, that was it. But yeah, at the dances, when we finally get to see females and talk with them, because we did have cafeteria available to have our meals, but yeah, I'm kryptonite, I guess. No woman wanted to sit with me, not even in classes. But anyway, talking to the girls at the dances, they're playing music that is old by about at least a decade. And so yeah, the joke is that Utah doesn't get the newest fashion, the newest entertainment, the newest music until about at least a decade later. And it's because of Brigham Young. He purposely stopped in this valley for that reason, to be isolated from the world. And so as other people are like, I don't want to go to Utah, those polygamists throwing their wives off the spire of the temple into the Great Salt Lake, and they've got horns, and they're racist, and they've got slaves, and they murder people. But yeah, it was tough as Brigham Young set clothing standards for women, up to the neck, to the wrists, down to the ankles, and of course wearing the magic underwear underneath. And so BYU has one video about that time period, about how a woman had one of the new fashion clothing styles that was a little too low. And so the hooligans at the brothels in town, this is Salt Lake City, were whistling at the girl, the Mormon girl, the sweet, innocent Mormon girl, and she's scared. Oh no, I should have trusted in the prophet Brigham Young and not worn this fancy new outfit. Men desire me now all of a sudden. Oh, man. And so, yeah, we're seeing that in seminary. To tell us we're wicked and we're all going to burn. Dear God. Them lots of memories, but it's mostly comedy. Seriously. Because looking back and seeing the indoctrination, the abuse, it's the only way to recover from Mormonism is to make a joke of it. Seriously. So, yes, I'm glad you're not joining, right? Because the tithing thing. Yeah, you should ask them about their pyramid scheme that they're involved with. That'll shock them. They probably don't know what a pyramid scheme is. Oh, man. So, the final comment. Paula Clark, faith-promoting Kool-Aid. I find it very interesting the enormous similarities between Mormonism and Islam. Yeah, well, Church did a pamphlet on it. It's still not available in PDF to download. You should check it out. You'll be surprised. Don't Islam Mormon-splain me. We just got through with this with a guy who thinks that he can Israel-splain me. Don't even get me going on this. We're at an hour and 42 minutes. Oh my hell. 3.2K plus videos. Dear God. Give me some credit. Alrighty. So yeah, I'm just signing out. So happy Thanksgiving. Hope you survive.